Hi there, class. My name is Jacqueline Ortiz, and I am a psychology major. So, my presentation today is going to be on money and happiness, and basically the correlation between having more money and does it really mean that you will be happier. So, I conducted three literature reviews. The first one was a study done in 2011, and I am not going to attempt the name, but it was done in Iceland and the people that living there before an economic crisis had occurred. And so they rated their happiness, and after the crisis occurred, they were asked to rate their happiness again. And although they weren't able to test everyone again, a majority of them were. And so the findings were that around 40% reported that they were less happier after the economic crisis. And so, although this does show that some people were less happy, it wasn't significant enough. The second literature review was a study that was done as well, and it showed a positive yet weak correlation between money and happiness. It did show that people are generally happier, but of course, the people living in poverty expressed that they were way less happy. Cohn and Gilovich also conducted a study where, once again, it showed a positive yet weak correlation. But what it did show is that people are very aware of the income to happiness relationship. So, what this basically means is that although the people didn't actually report that they were happier because they had a higher income, they, for the most part, believed that others were happier if they had a higher income. And so, my hypothesis is if a person has more money, they are happier. And my independent variable is the money that is increasing for someone, and the dependent variable is the happiness and whether you're happier or less happy. And this means that my hypothesis is positive. And so the data that I was able to get was during my survey that I administered to my peers, what I found the most interesting was that almost all of my peers reported that they daydreamed about money and actually wished that they were rich. 81% of them also claimed that they would actually be doing what they wanted in life if money wasn't an issue. So, this one was interesting to me because when we think about school, we also think about money. And so, if money wasn't an issue, a lot of us would be going to school or doing things that we actually wanted to do, which means this takes away a lot of our happiness. So every single one of my participants came from humble beginnings and watched their family members work hard, and this inspired a lot of them. And this was very interesting to see because it showed that people who don't come from a lot of money actually grow up to have that perseverance and that drive to make it to the top. And so I know a big um, thing with the money is that if you're born with it, you don't necessarily have that drive since you know you already have all this money. And so I also conducted an interview with a peer. My questions were based mainly on his childhood to try and get some background on how he grew up, his present livelihood, whether he's struggling or not, and how money to this day has influenced his life choices. And so both my completed surveys and interview answers supported my hypothesis because it did show that for the most part, more money would actually mean less stress and they could accomplish more things, travel, things like that, that would make them happier. The biggest limitation of my study is I was not able to actually give the participants money to test the hypothesis, since my experimental design was to give a qualified group of people extra money every week to determine if they were actually happier with this money that they did not have to work for, and the control group did not receive the extra money. And so I wasn't able to obviously do that. And time was a huge issue as well, since we would need to run the experiment over a good period of time to actually determine whether the extra money helped these people. And so I guess on further research, what should be looked at is doing experiments that can accurately test whether extra money really does bring people more happiness. And so that is the conclusion of my presentation today. Thank you all for watching.